could do something.
So we have 9 million gallon allocation from the river. Right now we're only 2 million gallon a day. So we could upgrade this plant to 4 million gallon, 5 million, up to 9 million. We can take 9 million out of the river.
So you get an approval from the state, I guess.
Yeah.
No, we've got the approval.
I know, but how much you can take out max?
So
Yeah,
9 million. Yeah, 9 million. Yep.
So that's 4.5 times what we do right now.
Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely.
We're doing a max of 2 million gallons per day?
No, yesterday, you can see up here, we did, we pulled out of the river 1.37 million. So we're not at capacity.
But you could do up to 2 million.
We could do up to 2 million, absolutely. But our tanks are full, all the levels. You can see Chatham Park tank, the Chatham Forest standpipe, million gallon, and the Horton tank. You can see all the levels in there. All the levels are high. So you know, we're definitely not at capacity. It's going to be I don't want to say it's going to be next year or 2 years, 3 years. You know, I'm confident that it's going to be. You know, we can survive here for 4 or 5 years. You know, and not be at capacity.
Yeah, and so whether to expand this or you know how that all works, is, like I said, that's where the engineers at TriRiver Water are working on every day, right? So just to give you an idea, be the realist, not the Debbie Downer. Please take this as realism. The Sanford plant is certified for 12 million gallons a day. We're expanding it to 30 million gallons a day, and that's costing $390 million just for the plant expansion. That doesn't include pipes and stuff that you potentially put it elsewhere. Like the pipes coming to here are about 100 million a piece for the 13, 14, whatever it is, the distance. So there's a lot of expense that comes into that. But when we get there, we get there. You know,
Absolutely.
It's just that's the reality of it.
By the way, this is Curtis Hall. He is the operations manager, the man with the plan. He's the legend here. He's been here for how long now? 18, 19 years? 18 years. So he's been here a long time. He knows a lot. He's very knowledgeable. Can't do this without him. He does a lot around here. But you can see on our skater screen there, everything is automated. But we do have potential to run in manual. If something were to happen, we can run in manual. But we're pretty much blessed with automation here. These 2 panels here, that one down there controls those 2 filters. This one right here controls these 2 filters. It's touch screen. We can tell you how many gallons a minute we're flowing through each one. When we wash filters, we have our procedure there. You know, opening valves and controlling pumps and all that kind of stuff is all done right here. Like I said, we're pretty spoiled when it comes to automation. You know, but worst comes to worst, we can run without all this technology. So if something were to happen, power failure everywhere, we can still run the water plant without all that.
Now, when you mention water tanks, are you talking about the tanks that people see elevated?
Yes, sir.
All right. Can you explain to people how exactly those tanks work?
Yeah. So when it leaves the plant here, it's pumped to the Chatham Park tank off of 64. You can see that new tank? It's pumped there. Then we open a valve from here, and it spills to the Chatham Forest standpipe. So there's 3 different zones that we have. Chatham Park is the highest zone. Then it drops down to the Chatham Forest standpipe. We'll open a valve and drop that water into the million, and then the million and the Horton tank are gravity fed. So there's no pumps that pump that out. It's just whichever tank needs water, it can gravity feed each other. So yeah, so once it starts here, Chatham Park tank, to Chatham Forest standpipe, to the million gallon. It's hard to see the million gallon. It's kind of, I don't know if you know where Dark Oaks Road is. It's up in the woods somewhere. But you can see the standpipe, the Chatham Park tank, and the Horton tank obviously is behind the school. Any questions so far?
Does this automation make you lazy?
Yes, very much so. But we love it. But we don't, and then if it does mess up, we do have to go out there and crank wrenches. So we can do it both ways.
How do you confirm that the data that's coming from that is accurate? You know, everything gets out of calibration or whatever.
It does. So we go out there on regular checks to make sure everything is, because we have sight gauges on the side of the tanks, and make sure that it is spilling over into the correct tank, make sure the valves are opening correctly, and it will tell us. We have alarms in place where it will tell us if it's not working or not. We have had to get them, looked at, replaced. We have signals. It'll go completely black where we can't see anything, which we'll have to go out and manually open valves and check tank levels and all that kind of stuff. So luckily we do have a generator that kicks on after 2-3 minutes. So if something were to happen, we can still run the plant as well, but we might have to go out and about to check tank levels. But we can still run. We can still produce water. Any questions so far? No? All right, let's go into the lab. Oh, I will show you all this right here. This board is our THMs and HAAs. And you can tell when we started, when the GAC was put in. This was our THMs and HAAs before, and just completely dropped off on TOC levels right after the GAC was in place. I mean, we've had non-detects to which has never happened before until that GAC came. I mean, you can just definitely tell. That's why I keep it up here to let us know that the GAC is working. That's another reason we can tell when it needs to be exchanged, is when our TOCs get a little higher, it means our GAC needs to be replaced.
So that was 5 years ago it came in.
Yeah. Well, October 2022. Yep. So that is when our first set of samples. I think it was August or September, I think. But that was our first set of samples with the GAC as far as THMs and HAAs.
Did the GAC come as 2 chambers or 2 things right off the bat?
Yeah, so they hauled them all in. I mean, didn't take as long as I thought it was going to, but I mean, I think it was 1.5 years of construction. I think it was 1 year of planning and stuff like that. And then we did the pilot test with everything. And so I think it was a combination of 4 or 5 years, I think, of work. And, it took a while, but, they did a great job.
That's great.
And, at first with all the construction, it was mayhem around here. And, at first I'm like, come on, man. Get out of my way. But no,
It's worth it.
It's worth it. It really is.
So does the TOC breakthrough follow the same breakthrough path as the PFAS breakthrough?
Yeah, so we also test for PFAS through. We have 3 different, we have site gauge 1, 2, and 3. We do samples on all 3. We do our raw, we do our finish. So we have 5 set of samples that we send out, and then we test each level of the GAC to see where the breakthrough's coming through. And once we see that breakthrough, unfortunately it takes 8 weeks for new fresh GAC to get here, so there is a time lapse for when it comes. But we are still removing PFAS. It might not be below what the EPA has a 4, but I think the last one was a 5. But we're still removing, I think it was a 40 coming in, and it was a 5 when it left the GAC. So we're still removing 90+% of PFAS. But I got fresh GAC coming next week. We got 2 loads fresh GAC, so I'm getting both of them replaced. And another problem with that is it is $110,000 just to replace one of those vessels. And the price is climbing every single year. I think it started out as 90 the first year we did it, and then it's just continuously growing.
What can you say to the folks that worry about PFAS? Because as you mentioned, it's like there seems to be a misconception about it. And what can you tell those folks that have those concerns, or when they hear that there's a PFAS warning?
So the way I explain PFAS, a little eyedropper, 1 drop in an Olympic-sized swimming pool is 1 part. So we're having per billion.
Yeah.
Per billion.
Yeah. So 1 part per billion. 1 little single drop in an Olympic-sized swimming pool is 1 part per billion. We have 5 coming out of the GAC. So you just think of 5 little drops in an Olympic-sized swimming pool. So that's how I kind of explain it. It doesn't, when you see it, you're like, oh, scary. But when you think about it, just a little tiny little eyedropper, and that's how many parts that we got. Now when it's coming in, it's 40, 50, 60. But we're getting it removed with the GAC up to, I think 5 has been our highest, I think, is for a while. But usually it's non-detect. It doesn't go, we can't detect it anymore. And that's why we do all 3 levels, just to be sure and to check to when that breakthrough is going to happen. Sometimes it can last 6 months. I think the first year we did it, it lasted probably 1.5 years. But the reason why it's not lasted so long now is because we had to up our gallons per minute. We were doing 1050 gallons a minute. Now we're doing 1200. Reason being is demand. We had to catch up with demand, and we're caught up now. So it's just more flow, more TOC going there, and that's the reason why it's not lasting as long as it did before.
Hey, I don't want to challenge you on this because you know this much better than me, so I'm probably going to be wrong.
Challenge me.
But when you said parts per billion, I thought that we were measuring parts per trillion.
We do parts per trillion and parts per billion.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the MCL is 5 parts per trillion, right?
Trillion, yeah.
So that's one drop in 10,000 Olympic-sized pools, not 1 in 1. So,
Now, where are you going to find 10,000 Olympic-sized pools?
We tested it. We can build it.
no idea.
That's a good point.
All right, so we'll go into the lab. If you guys, I think we can all pile on in, yeah? You guys can line up here, too. Come on. That was my seat. All right, I'll sit down here.
Not anymore.
All right, go ahead,
You're in
Brian.
trouble.
All right, so this is the lab. This is where we test iron, manganese, phosphate. We test chlorine levels, fluoride levels, color, hardness. Back behind y'all on that table there is our daily sheet where we do all of our testing, you know, turbidity and everything. We do labs every 2 hours to make sure, you know, because all of our sample types are real-time numbers. So when we put it on a pH scale, that's what it is at that exact moment. It's not a grab, go out and grab it, come back, test it. It's not a 30-minute wait. It's the exact time. From the raw, from where it comes into that building in there, with our permanganate, to all of our filters, to our clear well that's out there, and I'll show you. Combined filter, all filters combined in our finished water. Everything is real-time numbers.
Is that 24/7 or is it?
So
Depend on the
it
run.
shuts down whenever we shut down. Now our finish constantly runs. That's just due to the pressure within the system. It's still coming back in and whatnot. But that one runs 24/7. But the rest of them shut down with the plant. But like I said, all these machines here, we're testing chlorine. Over there, we're testing our monochloramines, which is our disinfectant. We're testing our total chlorine, our free chlorine, iron and manganese, color over there, fluoride over there. We're testing just everything we can. I can just name them off the list over here.
It'd be easier that way.
That's the natural fluoride, right?
Yes, the natural fluoride, because actually our fluoride pumps are off because we have so much natural occurring fluoride coming down from the river that if we don't want to put too much in it. Because if we start pumping, we're going to go beyond what we want, and that's just going to create an issue. And the MCLs for fluoride is 4 is your primary, and then your secondary is 2. We don't like to go over 1, just because fluoride is. I don't like feeding fluoride, but that's just what the state makes us do. But pH, temperature, alkalinity, which is basically we drop acid into the water to drop down the pH. That can tell us how the river is. Is it low? Is it high? Which we can just drive down the road and see it. But we test for alkalinity, fluoride, phosphate, iron, manganese, color, hardness, TOC, DPD, and the raw and the settled, free chlorine, total chlorine, monochloramines, and ammonia. I mean, we test for everything just to make sure that our levels stay consistent. Questions, concerns?
Can I ask a question to the crowd?
Yeah.
Who has been a town water drinker for more than 15 years? All right. Who remembers the postcards we got from the town because of the EPA THMs? Okay, this is ancient history then. But it's a part of the culture, right? It's a lot of folks, old timers in town, remember receiving notifications that there was something wrong with our water for a long, long time. So Cory, what was it that we did? I think it was 25 years ago that we started?
I want to say we switched from bleach or chlorine gas to monochloramines disinfectant. I believe that's what we did.
And the
25 years ago,
carbon slurry too, wasn't it?
I was in middle school.
I think the carbon slurry got introduced.
Carbon slurry got introduced when I got here.
That was probably how long?
12 years ago.
12 years ago.
Yeah, 12 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not aging
But that
myself
also helped
there.
reduce the THMs.
Yeah, it helps, and also helps with the TOC removal, which That's another thing when we send our THMs and HAAs off, we test our TOC to see the level. A higher TOC, the higher that THMs and HAAs are going to be. So that's why we test. We got a machine in there that tests our TOC, so we kind of know what our level might be. And that's why I write it on the board with it as well.
What's the frequency of testing, like indicator organisms?
For what now?
Bacteria and
Oh, every day. Every day.
is that done here in house?
Yep, that's done here in house. We have incubator here,
Yeah.
where we test our finish and our combined filter. We have these little test tubes right here that test for bacteria and E. coli, coliforms. We have that. We have these as well, colonies. We test for colonies. Basically, finished, raw, all that kind of stuff, and we see where it's at. When it rains real good, that lights up. We got a black light and it lights up, glows. So there's presence. That's when it rains all the time. And then we test our finish to make sure it doesn't seep through, and it doesn't. We test that every single day. Every single day we do a back team. So anything that leaves the plant, we test.
What's your favorite part of this job?
This right here. I love education. I love educating. I really do. Because you know how many times I've told John this, that I'm on Facebook and I go to like the chat lists and stuff like that, and I see people bashing the water plant, but then I see Bonaz coming to the rescue and letting them know. I can't myself comment on there, but I want to. My wife's like, just do it. No, I'm gonna wait. My wife wants to comment too. So, but like I say, I've already told you we appreciate everything you do.
Thank you, sir.
And it's much appreciated for sure.
Greatly appreciate y'all's work.
So you don't have fluoride here?
We do, but we're not feeding it right now because we have natural coming from the river.
Okay, so is that the same situation with Siler City and Sanford treatment plants? Do they add or do they not need?
I want to
Because
say
all this
they
water,
add.
I think about it all getting mixed up in a big tub.
That's why it comes back to the maximums that you can't exceed it. So I think Sanford does, but it would be the same situation if the product that's coming in already has some in there, then they wouldn't put as much in. So you want to keep it, I think it's under like 1, right? You want to keep it under 1?
We like to keep it under 1. 2 is the secondary limit.
So yeah.
I like to keep it under 1 because I don't want to get anywhere near close to that. I like to keep it below that.
Does the whole RO get fluoride out of the water?
I believe RO does get fluoride out of the water. And I know everybody. I always say this for myself. I live within the city limits. I told you that earlier. I do not have a house filter. I don't have a RO. I don't have anything, just because I know the quality of the water. That's something I like to do when I do the tours. Because I get calls all the time. That's a personal. For me, I know I suggest people ask. People ask all the time, what filter do I do? I tell them my personal experience, and then if they want something, then I direct them to where I think they need to go. But personally, me and my wife, we do not. Her family's been here. That white Victorian house next to Pittsboro Elementary? That's my wife's Aunt Janet and Pawpaw's house. They've been here since 1870s or something like that. So they've been drinking the water for a long time. So, and they don't have house filters. So they trust the process.
It's much cleaner now.
That's right. Then it was, yes.
Cory, you didn't have to say that, and I appreciate you sharing that personal anecdote that you do not have a household filter. I don't either. I drink straight from the tap. I will confess that sometimes, especially when the trace chlorination smell is strong, I'll put it in a pitcher overnight on my counter.
Absolutely.
Just let it oxidize overnight. Can't taste it at all the next day. And I'm gonna take the opportunity also to opine a little bit. This is my op-ed for the day. Because town of Pittsboro has been struggling with river water that has been polluted for so many years, it's completely understandable that so many folks are skeptical and concerned. We've had decades of bad news, And in the past decade, many times we've made national news with headlines about the pollution in that river. Well, what's not happening is the headlines are not coming out about the fantastic work that has been done for 4 years now with this GAC filter. And so we're in a much, much better place now than we ever were before. I trust the water completely. As I said, I drink straight from the tap. And I think that's a really important thing that people need to know. And here's why. We get nickel and dimed in this society and this economy at every turn. But many of us can't afford, or maybe shouldn't afford, to pay for bottled water or a fancy in-house filtration system. I hear they cost $2,000, $3,000, $5,000. That's an unnecessary tax on town of Pittsboro drinkers, water drinkers, because the quality of our water filtration is so outstanding. How many other, Cameron, I think you might know, how many other utilities in the state have this level of filtration?
It's going up because of the awareness of PFAS and stuff, but I mean, this was one of the earliest ones.
I think there's only 3 or 4.
Is it really only
Still.
3 or 4?
Yep.
I believe that it's us and Brunswick County and Cape Fear Public Utilities. Now, there may be others in the works.
Yeah, Carrie's in the works.
Town of Sanford is building a new GAC plant. But we have truly exceptional filtration. And it's really something to be proud of. And I was there on the board when we spent the money, so I know we spent every single dime of our Recovery Act funding, plus we got federal earmark for it. So let's help spread the word that it's no longer necessary to pay through the nose for an in-house filter or for pay extra at the grocery store for bottled water.
So that brings me to one that I like to do, so I can jump off of that. I did this math, which I'm not great at, so trust it with your own will. But I have bought some of the crates of water at Costco, right? About as cheap as you can get if you go to Costco and get something. Per gallon, you buy that crate, it was about $1.32 for a gallon of water. I know, they're not in gallon bottles, but go with me. Do you want to take a guess at how much it costs for you to buy this water that you pay for monthly per gallon?
6 cents.
You're close, but it's 1 cent.
Really?
It's 1 cent a gallon. So, that when you talk about saving money in this economy, that's the best way you can do it right there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Any more questions? All right, let's continue.
Thank you so much, Cory.
We're going downstairs. We're going